But if you understand this prayer, it's first we let go before we can let God. And so the ego, I want you to understand, it serves a purpose. It serves a purpose. The ego, it understands, or the ego is how we understand our individuality. It's how we understand our place in the world, if you will. It's a tool that we can absolutely use to navigate through our life. But the troubles show up, the tension shows up, if you will, when the ego takes control. When the ego takes control like a paranoid king would in a monarchy. When the ego tries not to answer to our spirit self and acts as if it has ultimate power in our life. You see, we were never meant to fall under total control of the ego, because the ego will ultimately limit our life, and the ego will ultimately operate from fear. Because the ego is what creates individuality in our life. And so the ego's natural response is to see ourselves as in a battle against everything and everyone else. And that's not true. But when you see the world as a battle, you create the war. And the only place the war is real is in your mind. But the only place that life is real is in our mind. God ideas, higher ideas, and the ego do not mix. The ego will always choose to amplify the negative in our life so that we may pass by divine opportunities, because divine opportunities require us to let go of control, to let go of the appearance of the situation, to let go of the prayer when we drop it in the prayer box, to let go our understanding of how the situation must work out perfectly, down to the last detail, and let spirit be spirit in our life. God ideas and the ego don't mix, because God ideas are about expansion. The birth of a God idea calls for a lifelong commitment to the idea. And that is what we teach in this church. We do not teach you can show up for one service, make a little adjustment, and have every dream come true. That is unrealistic. Some churches teach just come up to the altar and I'll slap you on the head and your finances will be healed. I'm sorry. I haven't got that hand yet. Not from one slap, you know. And you know, the birth of a God idea is a process that shows up in our life. Here's an example. Think joy, and joy will abide in you. Think about joy all the time, and joy will abide in you all the time, and then you will be the joy that abides in the world. Isn't this exactly what happens every year during this Christmas season? All of a sudden, everyone contemplates and focuses on lives from a place of joy, from a place that we experience it, from a place of giving and from a place of receiving, from a place of gratitude. See, contemplation, this is the star. The star that we can always follow contemplates something more than today. Whatever our experience is today, if we just accept today for today and contemplate that star, the brightest and greatest star in our mind, we naturally move in that direction. The wise men followed the brightest star. We are invited to do this every day of our life, to follow the brightest and highest and most spiritual ideas that are in our mind. That is exactly why we celebrate light during the Christmas season. We light our houses, we light our trees so that people can see our light. I even saw somebody drive by in a car and they had their whole car all like lit with Christmas lights and balls and garlands. It was actually pretty cool. You know, probably something you'd only see in Miami, but that's okay. It showed I want to bring my light into the world. You can see the people like smiling when they saw it. It was like traveling joy on the road. That is why we light our houses. That is why we light our tree. Spiritually, let me tell you what light is. Spiritually, light is the connection to the source. Light can cut through that personal ego like a laser beam. As long as we are led by our higher selves, the ego or Herod is never a threat. We can keep our ego in check by continually nurturing the awareness of the truth of who we are. We are children of spirit. We are children of light. And as long as we continually, every day, remind ourselves of this, then we are always following that bright star. That is why Jesus said in the 5th chapter of Matthew in the 14th verse, "You are the light of the world." A city that is set on a hill, it cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. We understand Scripture when they talk about a house or a residence, it's our consciousness. It's our awareness. Take the light, your highest thought, and let it shine in every corner of your mind and watch your life change. I am telling you, we are literally. Now, I've given you theology. Now let me give you some literal science. We are offspring of light. Science has proven that every atom in existence has its origin from a star that died in a glorious explosion. Every atom that exists in the whole universe is a result of a supernova explosion. Every carbon atom, every oxygen atom, every nitrogen atom, every sulfur, every sodium, every atom that has weight and that mass is a result of an exploding star. Literally, every one of us is made of stardust. That is why in the Genesis allegory, in the 1st chapter, even the ancients understood God created light. They weren't talking about sunlight because they understood the sun was not created till the 4th day. So in the beginning, God spoke and there was light. In other words, however you want to understand it, theologically or scientifically, there was a big bang, there was a sound, God spoke. And what happened is light was converted into matter. Intelligence, pure energy, or the way I understand it is God as God's self converted light and took that light and transformed it into physical matter. Jesus says the same thing over and over again in the language of spirit. We are not matter. We are light. We are energy. We are of spirit, and spirit is our true nature. You see, this Christmas story, it represents a transformation from energy, from light, from spirit to a physical life.